This week we're going to be in 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse number 12. If you'll turn there with me to 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse number 12. Have you ever had someone before try to make you kind of offer you a sales pitch, and it wasn't a very good sales pitch? I remember it was recently I had an issue. I heard some kind of a creature in the walls of our house, and in fact, I say me, it was actually some guests that I had staying in our guest room. They heard a creature in the walls, and it was on the opposite side of the house, so I'd never heard it before. And so naturally, what I did was I called the next day or so. I called an exterminator to come over and to see if he can give me an estimate and see what all needed to be done, kind of give me some ideas. So he comes over and he goes, "Hey, I'll do a free walkthrough around the house, free estimate." Okay, awesome. He walks around the house and he's trying to look for entry places here, there, and he comes inside after he does his kind of walkthrough, and he goes, "Hey, so I couldn't really find any clear place where the creature might be coming in from. There's definitely a creature in the walls. I mean, you said that," and I showed him a video, and he goes, "So I don't know exactly where this creature is coming in from. However, I can still help you out." I said, "Okay, great. How can you help me out?" He goes, "All right, here's what we'll do. We'll get some metal traps. We'll put them up in the attic of your house, because if this thing is in the walls, it can have access to the attic. We'll put them up in the attic of your house. We'll leave them there for a couple weeks, and then also what we'll do at the same time, we'll put some metal, plates around different areas of your house where there might be exposure, where something might be able to slip in there. We'll leave those up there for a while and just kind of see what happens. We'll leave them up there for 2 weeks," he says. "We'll come back. Then we'll, if that doesn't work, we'll put some more traps, put some more stuff around, make sure everything's all taken care of. And then after we catch it, or if we don't catch it, after about a month, we'll come back again and we'll kind of spray your attic, disinfect it a little bit." And he goes, "And that should get it all taken care of." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm just curious, how much does that cost?" And he goes, "About $1,100. And I told him, "Are you sure you'll get the animal?" And he goes, "No, I'm not totally sure. I can't guarantee you I'll get the animal or animals, right? That's just kind of something we can do." And very quickly, I told that guy to get out of my house. Of course, I told him very nicely, right? I'm just kidding, but I did tell him, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to use your services." That was a terrible sales pitch, right? You're gonna make me. You're gonna tell me that you can't even guarantee you know where the animal's coming from. And then and on top of that, you're going to do all this elaborate stuff. And then you're going to tell me you can't even guarantee also that you're going to be able to get any kind of animal. And on top of that, you're going to charge me $1,100 for this. That's a terrible, terrible sales pitch. I'm not going to go with you, right? And thankfully, actually, one of the awesome members of the Seagoville Church of Christ was able to help me out when we figured out what it was. If you're curious to know what it was a couple cats. But we found out where they're coming in from. That was another thing about that situation. Why do I say all that? Sometimes in life, we get these terrible, terrible sales pitches thrown at us. People say, "Here's what I can do for you," and it's next to nothing, right? And you have to pay all this money. We go, "That's terrible. Of course I'm not going to do that." Sometimes people say, "Here's what I have to offer you," and all you have to do is like a million different things, and it's very difficult, very taxing, and there you go. What do you say, right? And we go, "No, of course not." If there was a person that walked up to me and said, "Hey, I have something for you to offer you. And in order to get this thing that I have to offer you, what you need to do is give your entire life's purpose and time and energy to me. And you're going to suffer greatly. You're going to have all this hardship. It's going to be so difficult. Every single day of your life will be a constant struggle. And it's all for this thing I have here for you." Would I do that? If any person here on earth was making me that kind of an offer, I'd say, "No, that's a terrible sales pitch. There's this thing that you have to offer me, you a person, and I have to give my entire life to you. I'm going to suffer and struggle and have all these hard times and make all these sacrifices." No, of course not. I don't know who you are, or I don't know. I don't even have to know. All I know is there's nothing you can offer me that's worth that. There's nothing any person could ever offer me that's worth that. However, if God is the one making that offer, is there something he could offer that could be worth that? If you read 1 Peter 4:12, beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with what? Exceeding joy. If you are reproached for the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. On their part he is blasphemed, but on your part he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter. For the time has come for judgment to begin at the house of God. And if it begins with us first, what will be the end of those who do not obey the gospel of God? Now, if the righteous one is scarcely saved, where will the ungodly and the sinner appear? Therefore, let those who suffer according to the will of God commit their souls to him in doing good, as to a faithful Creator. What are some of the details about this situation that they're in? What are some of the details surrounding this situation? He says these are fiery trials. And he says, do not think it strange about these fiery trials, which is the trial. He says, as though some strange thing has happened to you. When you suffer as a Christian, don't think about that as strange. Like, this is just so unexpected, so strange. Why? Because you've been very, very much so warned about this. This is what he says about Christianity. Every Christian essentially has been warned that in order to follow Jesus, you must and will suffer. It is suffering. It is hard. It is difficult. It is so sad when people become Christians and then wonder and are sad about the fact that, well, I became a Christian and I'm still suffering. What is the deal, right? Why am I still suffering? They do not know, so many people, that Christianity doesn't end suffering. It is simply the thing that helps you overcome your suffering. And particularly in the context of this passage here, your Christian suffering. You see, the sales pitch of Christianity is you will suffer. You will have to give your entire life. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to struggle. It's going to be difficult. It's going to take everything you've got. Right? That's the sales pitch. But that's not all the sales pitch. It's not just the fiery trial. It is also that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. Part of it is, yeah, you're going to suffer, but you will also overcome that suffering. And on the other side of that suffering, you will experience a result that only those who are Christ's will experience. You will experience a result that is unlike every other result on earth. On the other side of your suffering, you will enjoy and live in a reality in which you are closer to God, and eternally speaking, you will always be and live with God. Right? When eternity comes into play, it kind of changes things, right? When you read 2 Corinthians 4, verses 16 through 18, therefore we do not lose heart, even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. So why is the affliction light? Why is the affliction momentary? Why? Because when we compare it to the eternal, it's nothing. When we compare it to the reward, it is absolutely nothing. Paul said this in Romans 8:18. For I consider that the sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Future tense, right? The things that we're suffering right now, things that we're suffering presently, They're not even worthy to be compared with the reward. Oh, that changes the sales pitch. God's sales pitch is, this is hard. This is difficult. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But the reward is the greatest reward anyone could ever attain and have in their lives. Philippians 3, verse number 14. It's called a prize. In that passage, there's nothing better than that. Well, now the sales pitch changes, doesn't it? Now it's no longer the worst sales pitch. Now it's the best sales pitch. At least to those who are concerned about eternity. Those who are concerned about where they're going to live after this life, which is going to be really the true life. This life is just a moment, right? It's just momentary. It's just temporary. It's just going to last for a time. What I want to encourage you with this week is when you pray to God, ask Him to help you. Ask Him to help you view your life with the mind for eternity, but especially view your suffering with a mind for eternity. Ask Him to help you understand what Christianity is all about. It's not the absence of suffering. It's understanding that this is what helps us overcome suffering. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. Matthew 5:45. You're going to suffer. We need Christ to get us through it. We need God to get us through the suffering. When you pray to God, ask Him to help you view Christianity in the right way, to understand what it really is about. And part of Christianity is suffering. Ask God to help you accept that and embrace that joyfully the way He would have us to do. Read the book of Acts this week also, and notice how those Christians did exactly that. From the very beginning of their persecution in the book of Acts, they embraced the suffering joyfully because they knew what Christianity was all about. What Christianity is all about. Serving God faithfully. Nothing, not even our suffering, will ever be greater than that. Also this week, when you make choices, especially in times of temptation, remember and ask yourself, what is this life all about? Because a lot of the time when we sin, it's because we don't want to experience suffering. So because we don't want to experience suffering, we make choices, we fall into temptations that alleviate to a degree certain sufferings, physical sufferings. Remind yourself that the physical suffering is never going to be worth sinning. The physical hardship will never be worth it. It's about what comes at the other side of the suffering. Suffer as a Christian and never let the suffering overcome you. Right? That's what God placed us here for, to serve Him faithfully, overcoming all suffering in the process. I love you very much. Lord willing, I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.